here's Davante's stats with the Jets. Not really Davante-esque. So why hasn't Davante Adams thrived?
Well, he said it. He hasn't played to his standard and his expectation, and neither has his counterpart Aaron Rodgers. But for me, like when you listen to him, the two of them truly believe that they were going to be able to rekindle what once was in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And
instantly.
Yes.
They thought they were going to do it instantly.
And as good as Davante Adams is as a receiver, and as good as he was playing, even with the Raiders, at least a couple years ago, he led the league in receiving touchdowns, had a bunch of yards. He's still not that player that he was in Green Bay either. And Aaron is even further from that player that he was in Green Bay. And so I think, again, you can only go off. Players are the last people to really identify, I don't have it anymore. We're the last ones. We're the last. And the hardest pill to swallow is when you're on that field and what you once used to do at a high, extremely high level is not working anymore. Because you're kind of shocked, but you're also in denial. And I believe that that's just where they are. Like, I'm not saying that Davante, I still think Davante has more in him.
He has some good football, not some great football.
Exactly. He has some really good football left in him. But if you pair that with a guy who doesn't have that much more good football moments in him than Aaron Rodgers, it's just not going to be seen.
Can I ask you a question before you go to you, bro? I get it, like your personal self, like you don't quite move like you used to, and you've just told stories of realizing you were washed on the field.
You told a funny story. You've told a funny story. You're not
washed. Half a step. What I'm surprised by is, like, because I was never a high-level athlete, we have not even talked to Aaron Rodgers. We haven't even been to a Jets game. We're like, not the same guy.
Yeah.
Why didn't Davante Adams, who knows vastly more football than we do, why didn't he recognize that?
Proximity and relationship. When you've been in that foxhole with a guy, when you've had success, you just feel like, oh, I bet you if I was there, he would be a lot better.
Heal his Achilles.
Look, that's just the mindset.
Okay.
Yeah, and Davante could also, I mean, it's a little bit of an ego boost. Like, I left and he fell off. Not that I know they're friends and I know he believes in Rodgers' greatness, but it was like once I left, I put up 1,500 yards and led the league in touchdowns with Derek Carr, who he loves, but still, Derek Carr. Last year, he was over 1,000 yards with Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy G, broken down Jimmy G, throwing him the football, right? So, look, I think a little of it's on Davante, because Davante has had some drops and some bad plays, but mostly it's just Aaron is not the same. I mean, that's the
that is the biggest issue,
yeah,
but the other thing is this. Anybody check Davante's birth certificate? Guy is a 31-year-old receiver. I know everyone gets annoyed with me about it, but I'm just right. It is not a young man's position. And the idea was that even though he's not the same physically, the Rodgers-Davante mind meld was going to overcome that. But that mind meld atrophied too.
Yeah.
When you don't work, like if we didn't do the show together for 3 years, and then it's like, hey, get the band back together, we'd be interrupting each other a lot more. There'd be a lot more moments, like no matter how good the chemistry once was. And now, if they were both 5 years younger, you would say, okay, give it some time, and they'll get the mind meld will come back. They don't have time. They traded for him at 2 and 4. It's why it was an absurd idea to begin with, because they weren't starting from zero. They were starting from negative. And just to get back to even as far as them being on the same page, the hole was going to be too big.
They really believed it, too.
They really believed it. They're doing the stuff. Yeah, they're all of it. And so, listen, I think Davante's a Hall of Famer at a position that's very hard to get in the Hall of Fame at. I also think this offseason, he's going to end up doing what a lot of great receivers near the end do, which is look around and be like, man, where's the team with the great quarterback that I can go play for? Like, does Buffalo want me? The Chiefs would be an obvious one, but they already got their version. DeAndre Hopkins, another guy who thought I'm still awesome. It all lift the boats in Tennessee. It's like, no, buddy, you can have good numbers and stats, but there's only so much you can do. And then by the time you realize that and I like DeAndre a lot, like I like Davante, but they're not the same players they were. It's very hard to be a great receiver past 30 in this league.
What's he do next, Greg? If he called you and was like, hey, what should I do here? Aaron's, I don't know what.
Greg would say, don't sign with the Dolphins.
I mean, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. But to Nick's point, go find a quarterback that you feel like you can actually win and you can play a role.
Replace T. Higgins in Cincinnati.
You can play a role where you're not the number one guy. Because it's hard to do. Wow, this is so hard to do, to tell you. When you've been a number one for the vast majority of your career, and that's how everyone see you, it's tough for you to go into a situation saying, you know what, I'm going to take a step back. He's better than me now. That even with him being with the Jets, it's like, okay, Davante's our number one guy. And then Garrett Wilson. So it's like, and Aaron pumps that up where it's, you pick your poison.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, it's like, what poison are you playing with? Because they're not poisonous.
Final question. At the tail end of your career, well, you had already won, so it's a little bit tricky.
Exactly.
Did you want, I don't know, is it better, is it more fun to play and win?
Yes.
Or winning is better?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Huge numbers.
Yes.
To put up huge.
I want to catch the
big
ball,
numbers
man.
Yeah,
with the
no,
Raiders.
it's more fun to play and win because it's harder to go into work and be as committed as you once were.
But one catch for 12 yards and win?
Ask DeAndre how much fun he's having.
Well, he's catching balls.
He is, but he's not catching the balls
He's
that
not
he's catching
getting a dozen
Tennessee.
targets, 10 catches.
And
like,
it's also after you got your money. Like, Davante's gotten this huge contract, so it should just be about
it's
winning.
not a 3-contract position. That's the thing. The modern NFL receiver is not a third 3-contract position. And listen, I'll be early on this one, even though he's one of my favorite players to watch ever. This is coming for Tyreek too, guys. Tyreek's not quite the exact same. Like these guys, if you're a wide receiver and there's a 3 before your age, like the odds that you're going to be great anymore are very, very low. It's just
okay. Coming up next, does Caleb need to make a change?
What can he change? What are we talking
You
about?
throw the ball into the end zone.
That's true. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.